Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the pre-match presser for the game between Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka on Sunday. We have the captain for Zimbabwe, Craig Ervine, and he's ready to take your questions.
Captain, first of all, you'd have seen the match yesterday with Sri Lanka playing against the Netherlands. Completely different surface to the one that you played on against Oman the previous day. What are you expecting in terms of the pitch for this match?
I think for tomorrow's game, I expect the wicket to be probably slightly better. I know that the strips, as you sort of go towards the trees there, they do tend to get a little bit tricky to bat on. But just having a brief look at the surface today, it does look like it'll be a decent surface. I know that Sri Lanka have got those two quality spinners that will obviously extract whatever there is in any surface. So I do expect it to be a reasonably good surface tomorrow.
Now, Sri Lanka bucked the trend yesterday. They decided to bat first when they won the toss, the first team to have done that in the tournament. It almost backfired on them. But can you see a trend towards that decision to bat first as the tournament's going on now?
Yeah, you know, it's still quite difficult just because you just don't know what the wicket's going to play like batting first. But I do think that a lot of sides are considering that option just because you're now getting onto surfaces that have been used 2-3 times. So it's definitely something that, you know, teams will have a conversation around. And again, those first 6-7 overs, you know, if you are batting first, are always going to be tricky, even if the surface is good.
What about those Sri Lankan spinners? You've mentioned them already. Theekshana bowling beautifully again yesterday. He could quite easily have been player of the match for the second day running, or second match running, I should say. And of course, we all know about Hasaranga, the leading wicket taker in the tournament. You've got top players of spin in your side. How much have you discussed it within your team, how to go about combating them?
Yeah, I think tomorrow is going to be a really good contest. I think between their spin and our players who have been generally good at playing spin. I think that sometimes you don't want to prop those names up too much and walk out there being fearful of actually getting out. I think, you know, at the end of the day, they're also human beings, and yes, they are good players. And I think it's just trying to play every ball on merit. We've obviously discussed a few different plans that we'd like to put in place, and we're interested to see how tomorrow goes.
Fitness news, Ryan Burl obviously spent the whole innings off the ground against Oman, having taken that blow on the toe while he was batting. What's the news on him, and how's the rest of the squad?
Yeah, I think fitness-wise, I think everybody's fully fit. Unfortunately, Ryan did miss, you know, the 50 overs, and he could have played a decent part, you know, with his leg spin on these wickets. But his foot has recovered nicely, so I'm pretty sure that he'll be fit to go tomorrow, as well as everybody else.
Now, 2018, I don't like to say it, but of course you had two bites at the cherry there to get through against, I think it was West Indies and UAE. You've got two bites at the cherry here as well to get what I think everyone assumes will be the 2 points you need to make it through to the World Cup. Has 2018 featured any conversations in team meetings?
No, I don't think so. You know, we're so focused on trying to concentrate on every game that comes, and our whole focus at the moment is obviously on tomorrow, and you know, getting our plans and our processes right going into tomorrow. And obviously, if tomorrow doesn't go according to plan, then our focus will shift to Scotland on Tuesday. But we're just trying not to think too far ahead, trying not to, you know, look at down the line, what if we did this, or what if we do that, and if there's this result that happens and that result, you know, all of that sort of stuff is out of our control. I think what we need to control is what we got to do tomorrow in order to win and get those 2 points.
Now, the atmosphere against Oman was fantastic in the crowd. It's a weekend coming up. What are you expecting from the atmosphere here for the game on Sunday?
Oh, I think the atmosphere is going to be electric. You know, I've heard that it's a sellout. There's quite a few thousand people turning up tomorrow, and you know, Queens is not as big a ground as Harare, but when it's full, it's got that nice, you know, loud atmosphere in it, with everybody in there. So I think we're really excited to see what crowd turns up tomorrow, and I'm sure that guys are going to be singing from ball one right to the end of the day.
Could that crowd be a factor in tomorrow's game, creating that pressure around the visiting team maybe?
Yeah, I'm sure it does add that little bit of pressure, especially when our bowlers get on a roll and maybe pick up 2 quick wickets, and suddenly the crowd is up and making noise. It's not nice to be walking out to such a high pressure situation and the crowd cheering. So we've been really appreciative of the crowd that have turned out to support us, and I think tomorrow will be no different.
And conversely, can it work in the other way? If you have a little bit of a wobble, will the tension in the crowd perhaps come through to the players?
No, I don't think so. It's probably the other way around when we're touring, Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or somewhere like that, where you might feel under pressure. But I think the noise from the crowd here, I think, is more of support behind you than against you.
Skipper, how do you rate Sri Lankan team recent performance?
Yeah, they're a very good side. A very well-drilled side, and they've played some really good cricket in this competition already so far. I think the conditions down in Bulwer probably also suit them a little bit better than maybe up in Harare. But I do think that they are a very good side.
Any special plan for the Sri Lankan spinners, especially Warnidhu and Mahesh?
Yeah, I think we obviously know that we have to play them well tomorrow. That is the backbone of their bowling, but take no credit away from the other bowlers that are also good enough to pick up wickets. So we've got some plans in place, and hopefully tomorrow we can implement those.
Talking of that, Captain, you'll have seen in the last couple of games that Ireland, Scotland, and the Netherlands have tended to attack those spinners, and they've been, I won't say wholly effective in doing that, but they've been much more effective than just sitting on the splice, so to speak. Is that a way forward? Is that a way of combating them? Wesley Baresi yesterday hit both of them out of the attack, albeit briefly.
Oh, look, I mean, there's a lot of things that I think you can take from watching some of those games, but obviously in here I can't really elaborate too much on our plans and that. But it's definitely something that you can look to reverse the pressure, because when those guys do get on top, it's a different beast to tame. So it's definitely something that we'll be thinking of, and obviously along with other plans.
Skipper, just walk us through how Zimbabwe has changed in the way that you guys have played over the past year. You not suddenly, but you have now this killer instinct of actually seeing through the game, even if when it's now at its most pinnacle point that you're able to see yourselves through to wins. What has been that key to actually guys having that killer instinct to kill off a game when you're supposed to?
Yeah, I think it's probably the confidence that Dave Harton has instilled in everybody. And I think backing up that is obviously the performances that we've had. And now guys have got the belief that it doesn't matter which team it is, that you can turn them over. And I think just that little bit of belief, that knowing that you've done it, not once or not twice, but a few times now, I think gives everybody the confidence that even if you are a few wickets down, you can still win from any position.
And then now looking at how you and Sean have played, you've been the top run scorers in this tournament. Personally for Sean, how does it feel having him there in this form that he is? What kind of confidence does it give into the team looking at the games that you have remaining?
I mean, his form has been phenomenal. And he's such a quality player, and he scores at such a high strike rate, which takes a hell of a lot of pressure off the guy on the other end, and he can actually just play his normal role. So, that middle order, he's the key to holding that middle order together, along with Sikandar Raza, and then obviously you've got Ryan Bill coming in down the bottom. So I think what's worked really well for us in this tournament is obviously the first 10 overs, being a little bit circumspect, but at the same time still turning the scoreboard over, and allowing, guys like Sean and Raz to come in the middle there when they've got a little bit of a platform to play freely.
I know in terms of batting, your name comes up, Sean comes up, and Sikanda as well. But how key has Joylord been in terms of how he's performed at the top of the order, looking that he's just new into his international career and the partnerships he's been having with you? How well has he handled that pressure, and what advice have you been talking to him now and again when you're out in the middle with him?
Yeah, he's been fantastic. You watch him play and you think he's probably played 20 odd games, but he's only played 4 or 5. So he's done really well for us, just to combat that new ball. And I think it's just trying to keep it nice and simple, nice and basic. Trust your instincts, play what you see, react to what you see, and just try and not premeditate things. He's got all the shots in the book. He maybe doesn't have as much power, but he's certainly got the timing.
Thank you, Skipper.